Good morning and welcome back to our daily devotion. We've been going through the book A View from the Zoo by Gary Richmond, and this chapter is called Mrs. Bedlam. The keepers at the Los Angeles Zoo had a saying: the zoo would be a great place to work if you could just keep the people out. Like any saying, it had a background. Allow me to illustrate. You would think you could trust senior citizens to behave themselves at the zoo. They were normally our most cherished visitors, but one little old lady engineered a mission of mercy that created more bedlam than any single visitor in the zoo's history. She looked innocent enough. She wore a faded black dress under a full-length black wool coat, and she displayed a wide-brimmed black hat with a silk rose that looked like it had been run over by a bus. But somehow she passed security and the ticket takers with two shopping bags filled to the brim with rubber balls. They were all shapes, colors, sizes, and textures. She had been to the zoo many times before and had concluded the animals were bored, and in her mind she was carrying two bags of recreation. She threw a ball into the sea lion pool, and I'm sure she felt affirmed as the most playful animals of the zoo pushed it back and forth. She threw them into the bear moats, and the bears ate them, as did the monkeys. We knew that because the rubber showed up undigested in their waste material. Many of the animals simply ignored them, but not our female black-maned lioness. The ball thrown into her moated area was made of a very hard, dark blue rubber. The lioness bit down on it so hard that it was impaled on her awesome right canine. No amount of clawing at the ball dislodged it, and the female became increasingly distressed. She rubbed her face on the ground, hoping to drag it loose. Her muzzle began to drip blood and mud, and she was salivating profusely. The keeper knew his animal needed help, and he called the health center and begged us to come quickly. His lioness was in trouble. Dr. Bradford was a veterinarian on duty. He was brand new, just out of school. He had never worked with a lion before. Upon arriving, we noticed the keeper had managed to lock the lioness in her night quarters. Dr. Bradford leaned on the bars to get a better look at her problem. She hated people and never tolerated anyone touching her cage. Knowing this, I reached out to pull him away, but it was too late. She lunged at his face and roared. Now, a roar under any circumstances is impressive, but inside a small concrete building, it is a major event. It rumbled through our bodies like thunder, and we found ourselves momentarily paralyzed, and we were expecting it. Our young veterinarian wasn't expecting it, so he fainted. He lay on the cement floor for a few seconds, and when he had again become coherent, he said something I will not quote in case children are reading this. The essence of his comment was that he now believed in lions. I think he enjoyed shooting the lioness with a tranquilizer gun and would have enjoyed shooting the little old lady more, but we never saw her again. She did call the next day, though, to see if the animals enjoyed the rubber balls. When she was told how we had to remove the rubber ball with a hacksaw, she hung up. I think we all understood that her motives were pure, but she clearly demonstrated a human potential. She did the wrong thing for the right reason. She was sincere, but she was sincerely wrong. The effect was the same as doing the wrong thing for the wrong reason. She could not have caused any more trouble if she had intended to harm the lioness. Her major problem was that she was acting beyond her sphere of authority. She had no permission to act at all. She took this matter into her own hands. This is when we create the most problems for ourselves, when we take matters into our own hands and act outside of God's authority. Intentions don't cut it. You've heard the old cliche, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, in his book Ethics, makes an interesting observation. The tree of knowledge of good and evil produced the ability to choose our own good or our own evil. Both choices may take us an equal distance from God, but we have a third alternative, God's will. One of my favorite films is The Sound of Music. My favorite moment in the film is when Mother Superior asks Maria, "What is the most important thing you've learned at the Abbey?" Maria humbly answers, "To find God's will and do it." God has given us His word for a lamp to light the way. His will is not hidden, and His scripture provides all the authority we need to act rightly. David wrote in Psalm 119:11, "I have laid up thy word in my heart, that I might not sin against thee." He learned to do that after feeling the full effects of taking matters into his own hands. Stop and think about your life. Do you have permission to be living the way that you are? If you're not sure, find out. If you don't, stop whatever you're doing right now before you get hurt or you hurt someone else. All right, that's the end of today's devotion. We'd love to hear from you. Just leave a comment down below about maybe what you got out of this devotion today, and we will see you tomorrow.